The show is started and it's rolling. Boom. Boom, baby, boom, baby, boom. I got to tell you, Frank, do you have any announcements? Anything you say before I start talking about tonight's show?
Yes, we're just as a group. Detective America wants to wish our condolences to the family and friends of Joe DeMarco. 52 years old is way too young, and we don't want to see that happen to anybody. So condolences to his wife Julie and her family.
Ronnie, anything?
Yeah, it was a very sad state of affairs. Joe was an old friend of mine for quite a few years, and like you said, he left, I believe, a son and a wife also. So our condolences go out to the DeMarco family. Truly, he will be missed, and he definitely was a leader in the industry of metal detecting. So farewell, Joe. Rest in peace, buddy.
So if we'd like to just take 1 second and reflect. I mean, there you have it. Sucks. With that, I got to tell you, tonight, I have had the privilege. Before I tell you what, I've sat and spoken to this gentleman. Today we talked for like an hour and a half, and I've talked to him about this, and guy just kept me captivated the whole time about what we're going to talk about. This man
was he jingling keys?
Yes, shiny stuff. He was waving in front of Steve. Oh wait, we interrupted him. I'm sorry, Steve.
I don't even jingle. I didn't even catch it. I don't get it. I missed.
You know what you do, little baby? You jingle keys. He kept you interested for hours.
Obviously, there's something there that I get. So, we have Joe Fiorentino on the show tonight, and this guest was brought to our attention by Ronnie, who he came to Ron's shop and purchased a metal detector, I believe, and started talking about Ron about his underwater salvaging of a British frigate called the Feversham. And there's a lot that led up to the Feversham, and we're going to talk about this. And then we're going to talk about a book about the salvaging of the Feversham. And we're going to get right into it. But acclaimed salvage diver, and he didn't just dive on the Feversham. This guy does this a lot. So Ronnie, I want to thank you for bringing this guest in, because this is going to rock. We're going to rock with this show tonight. So without further ado, Frank, would you like to introduce our guest?
Hold on, I lost my page.
There we go.
Okay. All right, guys, without further ado, and first of all, let me just say this. The gentleman's last name is Fiorentino. You got Fiorentino, Lopergallo, DeGhetto, Pacifico. It's a real Irish night here on Detective America Live. And we're going to bring in Joe now. There he is.
Hello.
How you doing, Joe?
Hello.
Welcome, Joe. Welcome to the show.
Thanks.
And I want to thank you for being here. And like I told everybody, I've had the privilege to talk to you about this for hours.
It was,
and I apologize for that, Joe.
Like 2 hours.
I apologize for that, Joe.
Well, he said an hour and a half. My wife said it was 2 hours.
So you've been salvaging. You've been diving and salvaging for how many years now?
I've been diving since 1978.
Oh, wow.
I don't know how many years that is, but that's a long time. And doing the ship, starting off diving shipwrecks in New Jersey, and had the opportunity to go to Canada in 1985. And little did I know when I first started diving there that I'd be doing this now in 2022.
And the funny thing is, we were talking today, and I hopped on his YouTube channel. I'm seeing all these videos from New Jersey, and I'm like,
I saw Barnegat Lighthouse. I'm like, wait, where's he finding these wrecks at?
"You're diving in Jersey?" And he's like, "Yeah." I'm like, "What?" And now I'm thinking like some of these boats I seen off the coast might have been him. Now, before we get into it, Frank, didn't you want to ask him something about diving Jersey?
I did. Well, one thing I was like, you're a better man than me, Joe. I dove for years, and I gave up diving in Jersey like right away because I don't like not being able to see my hand in front of my face.
Go watch my videos. I just started posting videos on YouTube starting in January. So we dive year round, and you'd be surprised how clear the water is.
Yeah, and somebody else has told me that I guess maybe I didn't never went deep enough or let it get cold enough because I couldn't stand not being able to see anything. I'm like, yeah, I'm done diving in Jersey.
It varies. It varies.
And he has made the offer for me to be his new dive partner. What do you think, Frank?
No, you misunderstood. He wanted you to be his new boat anchor.
I don't even know if I could do that without getting sick. Okay. Joe, what was the Feversham?
So the Feversham was a fifth-rate frigate, which is a relatively small frigate. They only went to sixth rate, had about 30 guns. It was built in 1696. You have to excuse me with dates. I'm not good with that. 1696 in Shoreham, England.
Ronnie might have been there at that time. Ronnie may have actually been on the top set.
They keep making fun of my age all the time.
Ronnie was sanding those planks, I heard, when they were building that thing.
And it was stationed in New York in 1709 under the command of Captain Robert Haston, who at the time was about 21 years old.
Wow.
And this was a British frigate.
British frigate, right. And so it was protection of New York. It was stationed mainly in New York Harbor, out to Sandy Hook, around Raritan. There were a lot of pirates in Raritan Bay in 1709 to 1711. And there were pirates that would come out of Sandy Hook, out of the Shrewsbury, and they would capture British ships, they would capture merchant vessels, and they could go back into Raritan Bay. They were called French pinks. They were shallow water, shallow draft boats, so they could navigate into the bay, and the bigger frigates couldn't follow them. The Feversham actually captured some of those ships.
Frigates, were they fast?
I guess relatively, yeah.
Okay.
How much wind you have.
Right. Okay. Yeah.
The more wind you have, faster you go.
If Steve was on there, they'd be rockets.
It was a relatively small ship. And if you're familiar with that area, if you're familiar with the Hook and the Narrows, you actually have to go around the Hook to get into the Narrows. So it was a very tight passage through there.
It was a bottleneck, basically, for ships that were going through.
Right. And remember, there were no tugboats to pull them through. They had to rely on the wind and the tides. They had to hit the tide right coming in, the tide going out. But that was the only way in and out. So it was a place where these pirates could actually do quite well. So that was what the Feversham came to the colonies for. Then in 1710, the British, there was a siege against Annapolis Royal. Yeah, Annapolis Royal. I'm trying to remember what they call. Oh, Port Royal in Nova Scotia, which is on the southern end of Nova Scotia, opposite where we're going to talk about in a minute. And the Feversham was part of that, and they captured the French fort there. And the Feversham, the captain there, he of course gets part of the winnings.
And this was during a war, right?
This is during Queen Anne's War, and Queen Anne's War was it was the way it's put in the literature. The British wanted to reduce the French in North America, so they wanted to get them out of Quebec. They wanted to get them out of Nova Scotia, and they felt that the French were surrounding them in New York and Boston. So So the Feversham went to Port Royal. They were successful in 1710. And then 1711, they were going to go after Quebec. And there was an Admiral Walker. And Admiral Walker, it was a secret mission to capture Quebec. And it was called the Expedition to Quebec. And he had, let me see, he had around 10 warships, 60 supply ships, and 7,000 troops. So he was going to take on he was going to take these ships up the East Coast, around Nova Scotia, and into the St. Lawrence to Quebec. In the meantime, there was going to be an attack up through the Hudson Valley, through Lake George, through Lake Champlain, onto Quebec. So they were going to hit them from land and from water. So
and this was 100%. This was basically just to thin the numbers of French in that area, because again, French being the biggest competitor.
To reduce the French in North America, get them out of Quebec.
I guess everybody's got their projects,
which they never did until 1761. So that was the end of the French and Indian Wars. And then, of course, after that, we had the War of 1812. So these wars have been going on in North America
for a while,
right on through, until 1812. So anyway, so the fleet left. Walker's fleet left in August, the end of August, and Walker was very nervous. He was afraid that it was way too late in the season, that he was going to get trapped in the St. Lawrence over winter, and he knew that would be a mistake. The St. Lawrence was not mapped by the British, so they didn't have a pilot, and Walker. He spent time in Boston looking for a pilot. They found a, quote, drunken Frenchman to lead them down the St. Lawrence. That was another letter I found in my research. So that's all they had to lead this fleet of 7,000 men and 60 some odd ships into the St. Lawrence. Anyway, they after about a week on sailing, they ended up wrecking in the St. Lawrence, in the mouth of the St. Lawrence. He lost about 1,000 men, lost about 6 ships. And Walker decided better to leave at that point, and they went back to England. So the Feversham, along with 3 transports, the Feversham had gone to Virginia to get ham. They traveled up and down the East Coast looking for supplies, getting things together. So they left late, and they were bringing the supplies to hold over the fleet in the winter. And they left New York. The Feversham left New York the day after the governor of New York, Governor Hunter, Robert Hunter, the day after he received notice that the fleet had wrecked, Walker's fleet had wrecked in the St. Lawrence. So if he had waited another day, he never would have left. The Feversham never would have left New York.
Crazy.
More than likely. So anyway, they made their way up the coast of Nova Scotia. And if you're familiar with the geography, you have, if you think of a map of Maine, then you have New Brunswick, Canada, and then to the right of that, sticking out to the east, you have Nova Scotia. And at the end of Nova Scotia is an area of Nova Scotia called Cape Breton Island. And then the very tip of Cape Breton Island, way out there, is an island called Scattery Island. And on the very tip, the far eastern tip of Scattery Island, is where the Feversham wrecked. And it wasn't a storm, but it was at night, bad winds, bad seas. The Feversham wrecked on the southeast tip of Scattery, and right behind it were the 3 transports, and they stretched about 5 miles to the other end of Scattery.
Now, did the transports wreck as well, or?
Yeah, the transports wrecked. So the Feversham lost everyone but one. There was one survivor. The 3 transports, the transport that was the furthest west lost, I don't think they lost anybody. but everybody was wrecked on Scattery Island. They flagged down a French fisherman who poured all his fish over, and they paid him to take them back to Boston and then New York. They ended up back to New York, and they didn't pay the French fisherman for his services like they said they were going to.
So now that boat crashed what year?
October 1711.
1711. So tell me, all right, so we talked about Scatterly Island. So I was wondering what got you to, or the original people to look for the Feversham. Tell us, explain who the gentleman was at first, and what brought him to find the shipwreck.
When scuba became popular in the 50s and into the 60s, there were people that would swim the shoreline looking for wrecks, particularly looking for brass. The Scattery Island and that whole coast is loaded with shipwrecks. And the reason that is it's the shortest point to Europe. So when the ships came from Europe, that's the first piece of land they hit.
Literally.
Literally, I was going to say literally. And if you've ever flown to Europe and you look out the plane, the land that you see is Nova Scotia. So planes still take that route because it's the shortest route. Rather than go around the girth of the world, they go over the top of the world. It's a lot shorter that way. So anyway, the ships were doing that back then. So they wrecked in fog so anyway, the divers would swim the shoreline looking for brass, and they came across wrecks. So the fellow that really ran this whole program, his name was Robert McKinnon, and he started scuba diving when he was in his teens, 15, 16 years old, and he was fascinated by the stories of the shipwrecks, and he would hang out with these old divers. And he always told us stories about the days when they would go out just swimming along looking for stuff. And as a diver, and I know what that's like, you go in a spot and you start fanning the bottom, digging, and you find stuff. You find coins, you find all kinds of things.
So literally, he started out looking for just ships. He wasn't. They weren't necessarily looking for the Feversham.
No.
Right. Not like, because we all think, well, so and so went out looking for this exact boat.
Right.
He just went out looking for boats because he felt that there were coins on the boats that he could find.
Well, that's one question I have. So, what I understand, it was going up and down the coast at one point, and it was gathering supplies and those things. What would be the reason for the Feversham to have that kind of coinage on it?
No credit cards.
So it basically was to buy the supplies.
Yeah. That's and back to Steve's point, all ships had money on them.
Right.
If you're going to be gone for maybe a year or two, and you're going to need supplies, you got to buy them.
Yeah.
So you have money on board, and that's what I try to tell people here. We're diving old shipwrecks off in New Jersey. I said they all have money on them. It's just a matter of finding it.
Yeah, but they're off in New Jersey. What kind of money are they going to have on them?
A lot went on in the Mullica River. We're supposed to dive a wreck. We're supposed to go down there in a couple weeks.
I pulled an interesting piece off the Mullica River, but that's another story.
Yeah, that's another story. Exactly. But
I've heard
all these ships I've dove in Nova Scotia, and let you I got 30 years of stuff in my head. Sorry. But there's we had 16 shipwreck claims in Nova Scotia, and every shipwreck that I went on and dug, we found coins from the Feversham, the Chameau, the Auguste, wrecks that we didn't no idea what their names were. So I'm convinced that every ship has money, and it could be found.
Makes sense. Let me ask you a question, Joe. So if the early guys were going out there and basically taking pot shots looking for wrecks, being on a boat, I mean, and as early as you guys were doing it, how were you pinging these boats? I mean, was it radar? Was it side scan Skona? How were you being able to ping these boats, especially up in the Atlantic, where I'm sure the seas weren't the calmest?
Everything we dove on was local knowledge. So these, like I said, back in the early days, people knew there were wrecks there. And this fellow Bob McKinnon, he knew where all these wrecks were because he dove with them. He dove on them many years ago. Never knew it was the Feversham.
Right.
There was another gentleman that more takes claim for finding the wreck site, and his name is Alex Storm. He passed away a few years ago, and he found the wreck of the Chameau. That's what he's best known for, which is right. It's 5 miles from the Feversham, and he also found the Feversham. And again, we didn't know what it was at the time. There was an assumption that it was the Feversham, and because
They just went out.
Go ahead.
They just went out to this area and dove and found wreck and dove and found. It's not like they used radar. It's
no electronics whatsoever.
Right. It's incredible how it just happened. So tell us how you got solicited to dive this wreck.
So a few of my friends ran into Bob. Well, I got there in 1985. So early 80s. I said 80 or 85. Early 80s, some friend of mine was up in Cape Breton on vacation. And he ran into Bob McKinnon. He was on another wreck, and it was called Wreck of the Auguste. And the Auguste is further north. And the Auguste was a French ship from 1761. And anyway, they got talking as being divers and shipwrecks. And so my buddy convinced Bob to take a charter. And we got a bunch of us New Jersey wreck divers together. I couldn't afford to go. It was too much money for me. I was just out of college. I just didn't have the money to go. So they dove with Bob a couple of years. And then in 85, an investor out of New York wanted Bob to salvage the Feversham for the coins. They had heard about the coins on it. And so Bob was mustering a group, and he figured these New Jersey divers are 1,000 miles away. They're not going to come up and dive, when nobody's looking. So he reached out to my buddies and said, "Would you come up here and work on this wreck with me?" So I was asked to go, and the only reason I went is because it didn't cost me any money. I had a place to stay, and I could do all the diving I want.
Oh, you're kind of like Frank. At first, when it cost
I was
money,
gonna say, man, that sounds familiar.
yeah, at first, when you couldn't go, you didn't have the money. Frank, if it's free, it's for him.
Yeah,
I'm there.
yeah,
I don't care. I'll go weave baskets if it's free.
Now all of a sudden he's showing up. All right, so go ahead. Now
So
it's free.
that's how I got involved, and we worked two full seasons on the Feversham, and that I think I sent you a copy of the Christie's catalog. Christie's had an auction of the coins we recovered. That auction was in 1989. But ever since then, I had been going to Nova Scotia every year after that on one project or another, whether we were just going looking for shipwrecks or we actually had investors investing in us to go look for something specific or dig up something specific. But every season I was there.
Now tell us again how you told me about the diving, the rotation, the routine. Because everybody thinks this is very glorious.
It was misery. No, it was hard work. We did anywhere, depending on the conditions. On a good day, we could do as many as 5 dives a day, and we would do. If we had 6 divers, we would do a rotation. We would go out to the wreck site. The wreck site is a rocky coastline. There's no beach. It's just rock. It's a cliff, and then 25, 30 feet of water straight down. And the shipwrecks were jammed into the rocks. There was no wood left. I think I sent you guys some pictures. It's just rocks and whatever iron is left, like cannons. So we had a big fishing boat that was our support, and we used an inflatable Zodiac style boat to ferry us back and forth into the rocks. And we would do like 2 or 3 divers at a time, and we would rotate. So your dive would be an hour, and then on the half hour, the tender would come back and pick up 2 other divers or 3 other divers and drop them off, pick you back up, bring you back to the boat. You had about a half hour then before the next crew was going to come up to change out your tanks, have something to eat, have a pee, and get back in your suit and get back to the site.
Now, earlier I posted on Detect America, if anybody had seen the YouTube videos, you can see the dinghy that was your transport just bobbing up and down in the ocean. I mean, the water there is not very calm, we'll say.
That was a bad day.
Yeah, that was a bad day. But so you're rotating and you're underwater for like 5 hours a day.
Right.
And you told me that you're using sledgehammers to break the cannons that were all rusted together.
The cannonballs. So
Right.
where the ship sank, there's a picture. So the cannonballs round shot is all fused together. So now the best coins in the best condition were between the cannonballs. So the only way to get them off would be to chip off an edge, begin breaking apart the cannonballs, working underneath, trying to fan out the sand and cobble that's underneath.
And it was all slow, meticulous hand searching.
Right. No metal detectors. Sorry, Ron. No metal detectors. Everything was hand fanning.
That's why business was bad that year, Ron. They were doing it by hand. So, and you were saying that the coins inside the cannonballs were the ones that had the better.
Yeah, they still had luster. They still had patina.
So what the iron acted like a concretion around the coins?
Correct.
That's awesome.
Correct. Yeah, and the iron would be the sacrificial metal, and the silver would be beautiful.
Frank, why don't you put up the picture of the ship? Start rotating some pictures around as we talk.
Okay.
Now, I want to get into this story before we talk about the coins themselves. So now, you told me a very interesting story that just blow your mind away. Tell us how you identified the Feversham.
Okay, this is the best. This gives me goosebumps. So we found silverware, and silverware is treasure trove, so we're allowed to bring that up. And there was a fork, and on the handle of the fork, on the end of the fork, there was a crest. Crest, like a family crest. So the archaeologist we were working with, he wrote a letter to, and I have it right here in our report. So he wrote a letter and sent a picture, and I believe this is before email. I don't know when email started, but he wrote a letter. And of course I can't find it. Here it is. He wrote a letter to the College of Arms, Queen Victoria Street in London. So this is where they keep track of all those family crests and things. So this is the reply. He said, this is from, I can't read it.
You know, on Frank's family crest, I've actually seen it. It has a big sign that says public restroom. That's part of his family crest.
And the loaf of liverwurst.
Yeah.
So this is November 28th, 1996. Dear Mr. Reedy, thank you for your letter, November 20th, 1996, which I received as officer in waiting. So that's his position there. He was on staff that day.
So he's just sitting there waiting. He's just sitting there waiting for something.
Right, he's waiting for something to happen.
I'm here waiting.
As it was a complete coincidence that your letter should have arrived during my waiting week, I am delighted to be able to tell you that the arms engraved on the handle of the Silver Fork recovered from a shipwreck off Scattery Island, Cape Breton, Nova Scotia, are, in fact, those of my own family, Paston. So we thought the captain's name was Paxton. Again, we didn't have Google to search things. And so he says it's not Paxton, it's Paston, which is his family name. It occurs to me that the captain of the ship might have been the Captain Paston rather than Paxton, as I know from my own work amongst the records that handwriting in the early 18th century is notoriously difficult to decipher, and the education times is somewhat sketchy. So then he goes on to describe what it should look like. So
But this guy was a relative of the captain of that ship,
right,
and he never knew he was on that ship.
right. He never knew this guy existed.
That's just crazy.
And nobody ever really researched this until I started researching for this book we did a few years ago. So
Right.
I contacted this guy again, and he's part of what's known as the Paston Society in England, and they're descendants of Paston, and the name Paston goes back to somewhere around year 1000.
Wow.
So, but this guy, this Captain Paston on the Feversham, he was the last heir to Paston name. The family had really gone into financial ruin at that time. He was like the last hope, and then he ends up dying at age 23 years old on the Feversham.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's I love that story. I think that's
Interesting.
Let's talk coins. Tell me about when you first dove and what it was like. So you probably saw some of the coins, which were the pine tree shillings. Explain what a pine tree shilling is.
So pine tree shillings. So back in the late 16, early 1700s in the colonies, there was a shortage of hard money, hard currency. Silver was the currency. And what passed typically was Spanish. That's a pine tree shilling. And the colonists the pine tree shillings came about in 1652. That was the first year. So it was going to be used specifically for the colonies. It was a little bit light compared to Spanish coins, but it was the first coins that were minted here in the colonies in 1652. And if you look at that coin, if you look at the writing, like from the bottom, like 7, 8 o'clock, around to like 2 o'clock, that says Massachusetts. So
Okay.
these are called Mass silver, pine tree shillings, and there were many, many different designs of these coins. This is actually a later coin, but they were all minted in 1652. They were all dated 1652, but not all minted in 1652.
Now, Ron, when you were young, what could you buy with a pine tree shilling?
How many of those could you carry around your pocket,
A
Ron?
loaf of liverwurst. That's about it.
So that compared to a Spanish coin was worth about 2 bits. So an 8 real divided into 4, that's 2 bits, a quarter. So that was
about a 2 real, roughly.
roughly a 2 real. It's about the same size as a 2 real. You
Okay,
have a
so
picture of
obviously,
the other side of that? Did I send you both?
yeah.
It's
So
possible.
obviously,
Let me dive into my bag of tricks and see.
obviously, before you even started diving, did you get to see these? Like, oh, this is what I'm looking for.
The first day I arrived on the scene there, we got there, it was in the late afternoon. The crew had come back and they were sitting in Bob's driveway, Bob McKinnon's driveway. And they were taking up the cannonballs. And there was a pile of cannonballs, probably the size of a watermelon, sitting in the driveway on a piece of plastic. And Bob's wife, Margaret, who was helping out, they were chipping apart this pile of cannonballs and pulling the coins out from in between. So the first ones I saw were right in the driveway. It wasn't on the rec site. So I began my lesson. That's where the lessons began.
How did they get the cannonballs out of the water?
We use lift bags.
Okay.
We use these baskets, fish baskets, I call them. And we put everything into the basket. And then with a lift bag, which is
Underwater balloon.
Right.
It's a heavy duty canvas
Right.
bag, and you
Right.
put air in it, and it lifts
And
it
you
up
fill
like,
them up and it lifts it.
like a hot air balloon looks. Yeah.
Right. I mean, that must be pretty strong to lift. You said there was a bunch of cannonballs welded together. So that's pretty heavy. You
Oh,
also
yeah.
spoke about,
Oh yeah, then they had to go to the tender in the Zodiac, who had to lift
Right.
them out into the Zodiac, and then we had to lift them out into the main boat.
now you also spoke about using sledgehammers underwater to break them up.
Yeah,
That's crazy.
you cut the handle off.
Right.
Yeah.
But still, that seems like it'd be kind of hard to do.
It gets to you after a while.
All right. So what were you like underwater when you found your first?
Well, I
Country
just
shilling.
want to point out that other coin you put up. If you look at the backside, it says what you're actually reading there across, same as Massachusetts, you're reading New England.
Oh, New England. Yeah.
And then there's the 1652 and the 12, which is a shilling, 12 pence.
Wow.
And,
Now,
and
there
this one, I'm just looking at it. If you look at the 1652 side, if you look off to the right, you see how there's like a straight edge where there's ND?
Right.
This one was clipped, which was a
Right.
very common thing back then. They clipped the coins because they didn't necessarily go by the face value. They went by the weight of
The
silver.
weight of it, right?
Right. Now, where were they made? Where were these coins made? In the colonies? All
Massachusetts.
right. So they stamped them. They made them in Massachusetts.
Right.
So more than likely, do you think they got these coins in Massachusetts before they went up the coast, or?
No,
do you think
that's
they were-
that's why the numismatists,
Numismatist.
numismatists,
The coin guys.
coin guys.
Yeah.
The reason they really went crazy over this collection of coins is that because it's not just pine tree coins. 10% of what we found were pine tree, were colonial shillings. The rest were Spanish and Dutch, and there was quite a variety of coins.
Okay.
But the reason they went crazy over this is because this was a collection of what was being used in the colonies at the time. And there's very little literature, very little documentation as to what the coins were that people were using. They talk about specie, they talk about plate, they talk about, but they don't use specific terms. So this was a real good study sample of coins. We found those 2 seasons and what were sold in the Christie's catalog were about 100 colonial coins, Massachusetts coins, and close to 1,000 coins. 500-600 Spanish coins, Dutch coins, a few English coins.
When you say Dutch, you mean like VOCs, where they're coppers as well as silver?
No, everything was silver. They were the lion dollars.
Right.
And we had some dating back to the 1500s. So it gave them a good representation that these coins have been around quite a while and were still in circulation in 1711 after being around for 150 years.
Now, this coin that Frank has in the picture there, is that the one you're sending me for having you on the show tonight? Because I really want to thank you. I
I'll send
can't
you a
tell you,
picture.
I can't tell you how much I appreciate that gesture. I'm just
I'll send
saying.
you a picture.
Well, if he sends it to you, that's pretty much how you get most of your coins anyway.
So this coin,
Wow, that's abusive.
this coin is later in the series of coins and a little more common. But we
I'm okay with that.
did find a New England piece, it's called an NE piece. And the only thing that's on the coin, it's a blank coin and it's just an NE. on one side, and the other side is 1652-12. That's it.
And that's the NE from the New England, the word New England.
I've only seen a drawing of it. I've never even seen one of those.
Yeah,
Like
we-
even a picture of a
We
real
did
one.
find one of those. We did.
Yeah,
find
funny
one.
exactly.
Funny thing is, Ronnie was the guy that probably dropped it.
Yeah, there's one.
They can't see that,
You
Ronnie.
can't see that?
Hold on, Ron.
Well,
Wait.
sort of.
Let me work my technical magic here. Hold on.
We got executive producer Frank in the house. That it's just blurry.
That's what they look like.
I can see it perfectly.
Yeah, me too.
Good. All right, good. You can see it perfectly, and
That's actually my collection right there.
that's yeah.
Yeah. What?
You were the
collecting
original
what?
owner. You're the original
ones that
owner.
I stamped.
So you did send me pictures with that. Oh, Frank, show those other pictures of those coins, man. Some of these coins were unique as well. You see, I'm doing a show. Well, get the hell out of here! Jesus Christ! Stay out of the show.
So that
Yeah,
one,
I'm
that's a
on a roll.
Spanish 8 real.
Hold on. I got to go back into my bag of tricks here and find these.
So
And-
now, a
yeah.
lot of these were sold at auction. What
Yeah.
were some of the numbers? I'm seeing numbers on these. What were some of the numbers you were getting out of auction?
I wish I had the money to buy them back then. Not much, considering what they go for now.
Okay.
Thousands,
Pardon me?
hundreds, thousands. That's what they went for. I just bought that coin you put up there that's in the case. And you see it has the original tag at the bottom.
Right.
I just bought that coin a couple months ago.
Okay.
So it was resold.
But you
And,
were sending me some. You were sending me some of these pictures with 11,000 on them.
Yeah. Do you have those pictures?
Yeah, that's what I
wanna
wanted them.
talk about those because they were unique.
They weren't the ones with. You won't see the dollar signs with them, Frank, but they're the odd looking ones.
Hold on. I got one coming up here.
That one
That
right
one.
there. So that
What
coin-
is that?
that coin sold in the same auction as the one to the left of it that's in the case. Now that coin, you see those three plugs. So I was explaining before about the money system back then. They were having issues. And if a coin was light, like that's an 8 real, that's a Mexican 8 real.
No kidding.
And it was probably too light. So to bring it up to its normal weight and value, they had to put plugs of silver in.
Oh, so those 3 dots were actually added silver.
Right.
No
Yeah.
kid.
They added silver to the coins. Now that coin, and I got a couple numbers. I think I sent you 3, and I might have a couple of dollar figures screwed up. I
Right.
think that one's just sold for $16,000.
Right. That was the price under that one was 16,000.
Yeah. And then the other plug was like 11,000, and then there was an oak tree showing that sold for 11,000.
Right. Right. I couldn't include them they weren't part of the pictures that I sent to Frank.
Okay.
So, but he's got the pictures. He's gonna try and
I'm
Find
trying to bring another because I'm not sure which ones are which, but I'm bringing another one up now.
But in the original auction, that plugged coin probably sold for less than 1,000.
now I have the Gold Digger credit card that I could probably purchase these with.
Yeah,
That one there.
that's like another $11,000 coin or something like that.
What kind of coin is that?
It's Spanish. I don't know if it's Mexican, but that's the Habsburg shield on there, right?
Now, did these come with certificates of authenticity that they were from the Feversham? I mean, these coins they're not slabbed like a regular coin. So,
These did I didn't buy these coins,
right.
but I'm sure they were slabbed, and they should have the original Christie's tag. So they were originally sold in the 1989 Christie's auction of the Feversham.
Incredible. Just like incredible. Oh, what about there's also other ones in there, Frank. What was not supposed to be on that ship that was?
Gold.
Tell us about that.
Yeah, I forget what year it was. It was in the 90s. It might have been around 2000. We were selling some coins at Stacks in Manhattan, And the fellow that we were dealing with there, his name was John Burnham, nice older gentleman. And I forget how it happened, but we invited him to Cape Breton to come on the boat and see the coins being brought up. And so he came up for a week, and it was funny. I mean, he's a New York coin dealer. He came up, he had his suit and tie and his shiny shoes on, and we had to get rid of all that and put on fishing boots and, rain gear, because it was kind of a snotty time. So he wanted to see the coins coming up. So we brought him up there, and at some point in time, we had found some of these gold escudos. Excuse me. And he said, those coins should not be on the wreck. They're from about late 1700s. I'm sorry, early 1700s, probably somewhere around 1710. There's no date on them. And they're Colombian. And along with that, we found a ring. Get a picture of that ring?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that ring. And that's also has those stones in there, Colombian emeralds. So this stuff didn't really go with the story of the wreck. In the Feversham only took silver out of the treasury out of New York. It didn't take any gold, and gold wasn't a common currency. So we suspect that these materials came from something that the Captain Paston had captured off of Sandy Hook, because he did.
Was there enough of this kind of stuff that it wasn't, the guy didn't go down with the ship wearing the gold ring? There was enough of this kind of stuff that it.
No, these were sailors that were pressed into service. They didn't carry gold. They didn't carry this. This came.
Listen, I got a gold ring for my confirmation. I'm just saying.
Well, we did find a couple of wedding bands. We did find those things, but this,
like the escudos, there were enough escudos to assume that they were taken off of another ship.
Yeah, we think there weren't a lot, but
still, now, do you have any idea what happened to that ring? Where
about 10% of what's on that ship.
I'm sorry. Right. Do you happen to have any idea where that ring is today?
I do know where it is.
Okay. Was it auctioned? Was it auctioned, or
I don't have.
Was it auctioned off, or was it auctioned off, or did someone keep it?
It was in an auction, and it didn't sell. We had a withhold of $10,000, and it didn't sell.
You were going to sell that for $10K, and no one bought it?
Yep.
Ronnie, give me that credit card.
I would have bought it. I know right where it is too. But anyway, that's another.
Well, that's great. No, that's such a beautiful ring. I was wondering maybe wondering what happened to it, but so someone basically has it and is cherishing it as well. So which is interesting.
Yes.
Yeah, sure that's an awesome piece.
Who's whispering?
The wife wants to buy it for $10,000.
I don't think the person that has it now will sell it for 10.
Darn it.
So here's the interesting question that I have, and guys that are on our chat will know exactly what I'm talking about. You guys went off the coast of Nova Scotia, and it was hard work. You guys were diving, and you pot shots in the water based on the tale of the time,
right?
And you came up with this stuff, and you guys didn't have one gigantic derrick or dug 500 holes in the ground. I know that there's neighbors out that way that have been doing it for 7 years and haven't come up with anything but one.
I know those neighbors too.
I told you he was going to go there.
I got to say, I can't say anything about that because I've been there. I've been to Oak Island. They didn't air our episode, and I did sign papers to say that non-disclosure statement.
That's okay, Joe. I'll do all the talking.
They didn't have Frank on the show either. Okay.
Here's the interesting thing, and again, I know, Joe, you're limited in what you can say, but the way that particular show was presented to us, it was this desolate, remote area. Nobody was around. And then when I crack a book and everything I look is like, it was heavily trafficked. There were ships here, there were fishing ports. So I mean, to know that you guys have found basically more than one ship up there, it makes me ask the question: is the treasure buried on Oak Island, or did it sink off the coast of Oak Island? But anyway, I know Joe can't talk about it, so I just used that opportunity to rant a little bit.
What I will say though, and this is an issue I have. So a little bit about our history with shipwrecks. Nova Scotia had what's called not the abandoned, that's New Jersey, had the Treasure Trove Act, they called it, which gave the province would give permits for people like us, people like Oak Island, to go out and look for identify salvage shipwrecks for profit. And the province would take a 10% royalty. So we had been doing that for years, for decades. 2010, they stopped it and there weren't a lot of us doing it. We had a lot of claims, but there were some other groups that were doing it. We were probably the largest. And they said, nope, we're going to abandon that whole thing and we're going to repeal it.
So, but the claims that you had, were you allowed to finish them out, or they were just gone?
No, just done.
Done. Good.
So, we had invested. We personally invested, or we had investors from the States that put in quite a bit of money. We started companies, we employed people, and they just said, nope, it's done. They did go to the effort of having an independent study done. It's called the Blackstone Report. If anybody wants to look it up, you can find it on Nova Scotia Blackstone Report, where they had a company come in and evaluate the treasure trove laws. And they came up with 3 recommendations. You could keep it as it is, you could make it more strict, or you can eliminate it. And they recommended just making it stricter than it was, taking a bigger royalty. And
especially if you guys are finding stuff. I'm sure that was an easy choice for them. Do we just give up on the stuff that's at sea, or do we collect more often?
No, the province went the other way, and they said, no, we're going to just eliminate it completely.
Are they as a government entity?
They are the government.
Any excavation?
They are the government. Yeah, it's like the state of New Jersey.
Are they? But I mean, are they going down and getting it now, or they're just basically letting it sit?
Nobody's doing anything except Oak Island. They're the only ones that still issue a permit.
Who's Oak Island hurting? They're not finding anything.
Except your friends at Oak Island.
And when they're done, it's a very nice landscaping job. It looks beautiful when they're finished. I mean, listen, it's a win-win for everybody.
So,
Frank, can you put up a picture of the book?
Yes, I can. I believe I can.
Now, tell us from the beginning about the book, what the idea was, and who the writer is, and how you play a role. Everything from soup to nuts on that.
So, Bob and I communicate weekly. As a matter of fact, he just this afternoon threw me an email. He goes, I have some more ideas for a book. So there may be another one coming. So he's written a few books about his treasure diving. And I said to Bob, a few years ago, probably about 4 or 5 years ago, we got a lot of knowledge in our heads. We did this for so many years. We know where things are. I could go down and find 50 cannons on the bottom in 10 minutes. I could tell you where cannons are, cannonballs. I know where the Feversham is. There's still 90% of the coins there.
That was my next question. I mean, how far along did you get?
According to what we recovered and what left the treasury, we recovered about 10%.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
So I said, we got to write this stuff down. He's I think he's 72. He's 8 years older than me, so I think he's 72. Yeah, he would be 72.
I tell Frank to write stuff down all the time. He don't write nothing down.
So
I do. I just can't read my own writing.
we're not getting any younger. We're probably not going to get back to these sites. So let's write it down. So like I said, he had written a couple books already. One of them I helped him get published in New York, Penguin Books. You could look, if you look up his name, you'll find it. And so this one I wanted to do the story of the ship, the captain, in more detail. And so I did the research. I started doing the research, let's see, 2019, and then COVID hit. So I couldn't go. I was going to archives and around New York and Albany, and I was, tracking down information. So then everything went online. So I got as much as I could. There's more out there, I'm sure. But so anyway, in the past 2 years, he's been writing this. I provided the information, historical information, and that's how we did it. So he had this published. He had this published in Cape Breton locally. We paid for it ourselves. And I know you're going to ask me, where can you buy it?
I don't have to if you don't want to, but
I do.
a lot of people might want to know.
Might be a good idea.
I have this memory loss.
Not like Frank.
Go ahead. Make the Prevagen joke now, Steve.
It's coming.
It's
So-
okay. CapeBretonBooks.com.
Okay.
CAPE Breton BRETON books.com.
If you,
And we're hoping-
Joe, if you send me that info, I'll post it on the page.
All right.
Yeah, or we're hoping you will. And now what is intriguing about this is you guys kind of found this ship by folklore and stories, and maybe you saw maps of something, and now you've actually taken that and you've documented that in the book, correct? Of like, I mean, could
the whole
somebody
story.
want? Pardon me?
It's the whole story. Our whole.
Right.
It's our story. It's the story of the ship. It's the story of the captain. It's the story of the war, the coins. Yeah.
Right. But is it possible for someone to is this ship really hidden? Like who's to stop me from getting a boat and going and digging up a coin?
We give you maps in the book. You can go get it.
That's what I mean. That's what I'm saying.
Now, Steve,
you
if
really-
you can learn how to swim,
Good luck.
Oh, I can swim. It's getting to the top of the water that's the problem.
you can sink.
Yeah, I think. But no, so I mean, honestly, it's not a hidden place of where it is. I mean, are you waiting to get back there? If they opened up the permits again, will you are you going to be notified or not, or what's the story there?
Well, he would know just from the. Nova Scotia is not a big place, so word travels.
Right, but what I'm saying is, are you guys trying to get these permits back? What's the motivation to get back there again?
Joe, I got one word for you.
No.
Submarine. Come in from the left. They will never know you're there.
No, I don't think it's ever not gonna open up. And
Right, but if it did, would you be notified and go back, or what are you saying here?
we would know. We would know. We
Yeah.
would
Joe,
find
did they
out.
ever give a justification? Because it drives me nuts when this kind of stuff happens. Do they give a justification of why this stuff is better on the bottom than actually up where people can observe it and see it?
So the story goes, or the word goes, it's called in situ preservation. You ever hear that term?
Yes, however, these are man-made objects, so they're really not in situ. They're just in situ for 300-400 years. But I mean, they're not like original. They were made by man, and man's not allowed to ever see them again. That drives me nuts.
Guys, believe me, it drove us nuts. We actually sued the province of Nova Scotia. And
I think you lost.
no.
Well, you're not out there digging. You would.
Let me. Everything's a story.
That's okay. We love stories.
So, in 2006, we were diving a wreck near Halifax, near Oak Island, as a matter of fact. And we were recovering coins. It was a ship that sank in 1816. And the province, we needed, the permit process, it was a 3-part process. You go look, you find a sample, and you excavate. So you needed 3 permits to do that. We looked, we found, we sampled, we provided information reports to the province. The only thing we were waiting for is that salvage permit to actually go down and begin excavating. And they kept delaying our permit that season. So we had a whole crew on site. We had 2 boats, but we weren't allowed to dig. So finally, the permit came through, but it was the end of the season. It was in October, and our season typically ended the end of October. And the province,
Conveniently.
obviously, the province knew that. So when I say we had investors at the time. We had some financial investors. So we, along with the investment, took the province to court. We won. The judge, after hearing a couple hours of testimony, looked over to the lawyers for the province and said, you have to continue and let them do their thing. They've invested money, they've got a company, this is the way the law is written, you can't deny them access. So the province said, okay. And the next season they did the same thing. So the only way we would have been able to continue our work would be to sue them again.
Go to court every year.
And the investors, well, it was the end of that season, so now we're into the next season, and the province, the investors just didn't want to continue. So everything dropped, and that was it. That was the end.
Now, I don't like to compare what you guys do to what goes on Oak Island. But I will just say this: I know for a fact that one of my electrolysis systems is on Oak Island. I'm just saying, Joe. I'm just putting it out there. No,
I hope it's a big one.
no, it's not.
Would you like me to revisit the conversation from earlier, Frank?
No.
I'm just saying. I mean, I kind of steered clear of that.
What a guy.
So, Joe, you're awesome, dude. We have to have you back. I have a feeling that once this show's over, people are going to want you to talk about other shipwrecks. How many shipwrecks have you?
I want to know about the ones off of Jersey.
I know. Yeah, me too. I did. This crap. I'm going to be in
about.
Mullica Hill next month. I'm going to go sit on the banks of Mullica Hill next month to. Hey, listen. No, seriously. So you say you're going to be in Mullica Hill, right?
Did I say that?
Well, Mullica River.
Mullica
Well,
River.
you're going to be in Jersey, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I thought maybe, I don't know, me and Ronnie come down and say hi or something. I don't know.
Okay. I'm not sure when.
Yeah.
I'm not sure when.
It's cold. You're going to go
We're assisting.
You're going to go in that water now?
Yeah. We go all year
You're
round.
nuts. I'll sit on the bank and go like this.
They're lightweights. I go out my door. I'll go in my water here in January. I have no problem.
Oh yeah, 80 degrees.
You wouldn't even go in the water in August in Jersey. Who you kidding? Jesus God. No, seriously.
I'm being chased by another hurricane, and it's going to hit the beach hard. I'm going to be in the water.
If you do come to Jersey, let me and Ronnie know, man. It'd be really nice. I mean, that's not far from us. I don't know. Ronnie might buy us dinner. Ronnie's got a credit card.
Well, we do dive out of Cape May.
Yeah.
And has a boat there. We do dive out of Barnegat and Shark River.
Right. I told you, we're anywhere from Ronnie's a little further north, but I'm anywhere from Brigantine south, man. I mean, you come to Jersey. I know you're from Jersey, so but yeah, but it wouldn't. Like I said, I'm down that way a lot, because I got a little trailer in the woods down there. So I don't know. We get to cross paths. We get to shake hands. It'd be really cool. I could probably pull one of them shillings out of your pocket there too. You could deliver the one
all locked up in the safe In
Yeah,
the-
I'm sure he
You can-
carries them around with him.
You can deliver the one you promised me personally. How's that? That sounds
right.
great. But no, we would ask if you really can. Listen, Detect America, you're welcome to post whatever we like, whatever you like. Post the information for the book. Okay. Whatever you like, we really appreciate it. I mean, this
I sent you a friend request. You can, if you you can send it right through
Yeah.
to that too, and I can post the stuff up on the other pages
Yeah.
that we're part of as well.
All right.
I got to tell you, I think we're going to get great feedback from having you on the show. This was a very interesting story that I'm just very intrigued by. And as you
Yeah.
can see, Ronnie was just intrigued the whole time and just stood and
You got to
absorbed.
remember,
I have a real quick question for Joe because I'm sure you would have heard about it, but did you hightail it down to Strathmere when they were pumping that stuff up on the
We
beach?
were talking about that before.
I got 4 or 5 of those bad boys.
No, I didn't.
I drove from Gettysburg at about 900 miles an hour to get there.
No way. No.
Yeah, okay.
No.
Yeah, we believe that.
All right, so it was
50
9 miles an hour, but I
maybe.
still drove.
Probably 56, probably 56 miles an hour. That's flying to you, dude. So, Joe, anything else, my friend? Anything else you want to add?
No, just that. Yeah, I'd like to talk again. We had 16 claims, so we found treasure on a lot of ships. So if
Maybe
you
we'll
want to talk about other
absolutely
ships,
have
I
you
don't have
back,
books
brother.
to go along with them, but
Yeah, maybe we'll pick another ship and do a story of that one and coins from that. And
I heard when he dove on the New Jersey, he came up with a bunch of Lincoln pennies. I mean, I don't understand the whole theory behind
Pull
that.
well,
tabs.
there are ships that people find coins. We were finding coins on a wreck called the Tolton. They were around World War II. The Tolton sank, so they were nothing much. Bunch of pesos. The Delaware is another shipwreck out of Manasquan. They find Indian head pennies.
ooh,
Yeah, they're out there. People find
yes,
stuff.
these are incredible. Though. I mean, I know the Pine Tree shillings are semi-rare coins, but the story of them coming off that shipwreck makes them even more
They're
valuable.
very, I mean, from what we see with in metal detecting, the pine tree shilling is almost the myth. We find it
there-
very rarely.
Yeah.
Question for you,
We
Frank.
found this hoard that we found is the largest ever.
Right
Yeah.
now, isn't there a copper coin that looks like that? Or I'm asking Frank. Frank, is there a copper coin?
You know what? A couple times that I had seen them pop up on the page, I thought they were copper at first, but they
Right.
were just black and silver.
Oh, okay.
The silver had turned.
Yeah.
And they're different trees. That the one on the screen there was a pine tree. There's also an oak tree. There's also a willow tree.
Willow, yeah.
Yeah, and they're all just variations.
Right.
They minted these for 30 some odd years, and they.
Oh, they did really? They minted it for 30 years?
Oh yeah, but they all have the same date.
But they all have
1652.
1652 on them.
No, get out. Really?
I did not know that. That's awesome.
Ronnie's birth year and it's stamped on there.
No, that was when Ronnie made his first communion. That wasn't his birth year.
Is that I can't see what that one is.
Oh, hold on. Ronnie puts me on the spot. I can't work that fast, Ron. Hold on.
I know. And
Here we go.
I can't even see past my glasses.
there we go.
There you go. Hold it right there. Okay, now we can see that.
Now there is more. I'm going to flip the page over.
Okay.
That's nuts, man.
Now, we did mention before we let Joe go, we did mention there are pine tree shillings out there at a lower cost. I don't know if they're Feversham, but he said they're out there. They may not be as pristine as that, but you can find them out there for, what'd you say, Joe, about $1,000?
Yeah, if they're beat up. Shipwreck coins, like you were saying about the Atosha coins, the prices of those have gone through the roof for some reason. And Feversham coins, like Sedgwick just had an auction this past week, and there were a couple. I think there was one Feversham coin in there, and I looked at it. It's just I couldn't believe how much it was going for, thousands and thousands of dollars. So I think shipwreck, if it's a shipwreck coin
Yeah.
from the Feversham, it's going to be way out of line. If it's a regular pine tree shilling like that, you might get it.
If you can attribute that to a specific shipwreck, the price goes crazy.
Yeah,
Ronnie promised to buy me the second gold coin off of the RMS Republic.
Yeah, did you get Beverly's coin yet? Are you still waiting for that one?
Me?
You're still waiting.
I get the second. I get the second one that comes up. Ronnie's going to buy that for me. So
you're still waiting. That's all I can say.
When Martin finds it. So, all right, Joe, we're going to say goodnight. I'd like to thank you again. Ronnie, would you like to say goodnight?
Joe, thanks for coming on. You know, when I first met you, you were very interesting, and I just knew that this book would be a success. You had told me you were going to write a book, and I told you that we would have you on. So I'm glad you
that
came
was
on.
almost 2 years ago, right? About a year.
It's been that long, but
yeah.
You
Metal
got it
detector
done.
works good.
Ronnie's a little slower these days. He's not as spry as he used to be.
You got a lot of room.
Joe, I definitely want to have you back on, brother, and get me that info so I can post it up to the pages.
All right.
And thanks for coming on, man.
Thanks,
Joe.
Good night, buddy.
Good night.
It was fun.
And there you have it, guys. I gotta tell you, I don't know. Maybe I'm in a little bit of a dream world, but interesting story, real interesting guest.
Well,
down to earth.
The day I met him and we started chit chatting and we started talking about diving and I mentioned Oak Island and he started talking about
I'll be right back.
The wreck he was diving on. And he opens his hand and he has like 3 or 4 pine tree shillings in his hand.
Oh, he had him in his hand?
Yeah.
That son of a gun. You didn't grab me one?
No.
Well, like I said, he's probably going to deliver one personally and everything, right to us.
Sure.
But I think we're gonna have him on again and pick a ship to talk about and do an expose on the ship and everything else because
and then like he said, he's going to do another book, and when he gets that done, we get him on for that. So very interesting.
And I was telling Frank, we're going to reach out next to Spanish Main Treasures and get those guys on here because
just so everybody's aware, Andy Savage's Legend book is dropping on the 12th. And he will be here on the 14th. He'll be here next Monday night talking about the new book on the Legend. And I heard a rumor that I might have made it into the book. I don't understand, but it's possible. Could everybody control themselves? I might have a mention in Andy's new book.
Well, I already have a case of them on order. So, if you
awesome.
are
I'll so Andy will be.
Well, you know what you do? Ron, tear that page out of every single one. That would be hilarious. So, are we giving something away?
I got a couple giveways right here.
All right,
I have my handy dandy book. So I write.
Look at that. He's getting organized.
Give everybody an opportunity to like the page, like the you know what I mean. An opportunity to like the chat, which actually you may have liked this one tonight. Thank God. I think we finally did a show that people like. And then
me and Ronnie did one that you weren't there. They loved it. I don't understand.
All the ones I wasn't there, they were liking.
Oh, by the way, I got a box today. Finally, I have a box to ship back your shovel. But they only had one, so I can't ship Ronnie's back.
Oh, it's, like I said, it's not the biggest rush. I mean,
I got it. Ronnie's might be delayed. I really like those NX5 shovels.
That's another thing. Yeah, I wasted my money on an NX6 whatever by KG and Ringy. I don't know why I bought their shovel, but I actually like it. It really is nice. That's a nice shovel.
It is. It's a beauty. I'll run your card this week. I just haven't had a chance.
Oh no! Well, guess what though? I got to tell you something, man. You got one with the. I told you to put that in there. It's expired.
I've been kind of crazy.
You ain't getting the next number.
Yeah, it's probably my card number anyway.
Yeah. That's funny. You charge me and it goes on your bill.
All right, so we're going to give away. I got a couple of giveaways here tonight. Magically, when I was moving to Florida, I cleaned out a drawer and found a bunch of coins. So this one has been. I think this one's been laying around for 4 or 5 years. But this is a Lexington Concord commemorative coin.
All right. Oh, look at that. Huh.
It's solid goldish color.
Solid goldish.
And that's the first one.
All right, I'm going to get the names while you talk.
We want me to talk about it.
Well, you're showing the coins.
So I'm running. I'm not running this time. I'm standing my ground for the hurricane this time. Unless
you are?
Unless it actually turns into a real hurricane, then I'm going to run. But I mean it's pounding. I saw video tonight of the East Coast because they've been getting winds for a couple of days now, and they were showing a couple of beaches with 2 layers of cuts on it already on the East Coast
of Florida.
But this thing is coming across the state, and it's going to be weaker when it gets here. But it's going out. It's going to churn up our beaches. It's making a left-hand turn, a right-hand turn, and it's going to go back again. So our beaches are going to get 2 or 3 different directions. It's going to get northerly direction. It's going to get east. It's going to get west. So,
and you think that's coming up to Jersey?
And so they're not quite sure how strong it's going to be by the time it gets there, because it's barely going to be a Category 1 when it hits the coast, they say. But we'll see. But it should move some sand around for sure.
I'm going to add the folks from YouTube who are watching. There's Lady Jax. I've got Greg Muncie. Let's see who else. Neo Geo. Is that Nelson Rosario?
Geo.
Is that Nelson?
That's Nelson.
Robert Stover. Scott Whitaker. Hey, remember, again, we got to, I know we have to say this, and I hate saying it, but if you are from the lovely world, Sam Leader, you're getting put in there. If you're from the lovely world of Canada, you, by entering the contest, you are assuming shipping. If you do not provide, unfortunately, if you do not provide for the shipping to Canada, you're not getting the prize. We've stopped shipping to Canada, only because it's so expensive, and we're sorry, but
if you're willing to cover the shipping, well, we're willing to ship it to you.
You could even drive to Frank's house to pick it up.
If you want to come pick it up, that's fine too.
But that is the rule that, unfortunately, so Canada, you got a problem. Also, the rules apply. We're going to call your name. I'm going to call the name for the first prize. What's the first prize again, Frank?
It is a Lexington Concord commemorative coin.
I want that. I win. I'll bet he's not watching anymore. But the name is John Monero. John Monero has 1 minute. He signs in. You know he don't watch the whole show. So John Monero, you have 1 minute. I think we're going to be sitting. I think we're going to be sitting here for a minute. That's our good Dr. John from Southern Jersey. You know, I called him yesterday, Frank.
Are you going?
Oh, I don't know about that. We didn't get that far, but we were just asking. We were giggling. We were talking. We were talking. He was actually out digging when I called too.
Yeah, he's on a pretty hot spot, it looks like.
What's the matter?
I have my check from Friday.
Okay, well, I'm doing a show here, honey. We're waiting for Dr. John. Somebody says, who is John Monero?
Scott,
did you sign it, Will?
He's a world famous chiropractor.
Yep. All right. So 1 minute is expired, and John does watch a show, but we know he's a busy guy, so he probably was told to get off the computer by his wife.
Where was it?
Let's face it.
Right there.
Yeah, right on the
That was
line.
him.
You know, you want everything, don't you? All right, so we're gonna pick another name and hope they're here. How funny. And I'll deposit that into your account. Oh no. Oh geez, Skip Prohochuk.
Skip Rahochuk.
Yep, Skip Prohochuk has 1 minute. He's a dedicated viewer. He watches. So I'm sure he'll answer up in the chat. Because he don't sign on and sign off.
Brian's saying respin.
Yeah, I mean, got to give the guy a minute.
Somebody
So-
said I'm here, but I can't see who it is.
All right, Skip's there. Good job, Skip.
Right,
Good job. Good. Also, this Thursday we have our meeting at the South Jersey Metal Detecting Club. Anyone who's a member out there watching the show right now, we have our monthly meeting, 7 o'clock at the Barrington Fire Hall. Anyone interested in joining the South Jersey Metal Detecting Club, you can either send me a message or just come to the meeting. It's growing. It's growing. We already got big things in the works, and things are moving up. All right, what's the next?
Hold on, I gotta see. I'm trying to see the date.
So anyone interested in the South Jersey Metal Detecting Club, give me a ring, or like I said, it's at the Barrington Fire Hall this Thursday at 7 p.m. We got a lot of announcements, and a lot of things are moving forward in that club. Trust me. Trust me.
We're giving away a large set. I'm just trying to see the date because I'm blind.
All right, we're giving away a dateless large cent. We'll figure out what.
It's in good shape. It's got a date. I'm just blind.
I want to tell you something. These large cents are not cheap either. All right, Miss Sandra Marshak. Sandra Marshak, she's an avid viewer.
1848. 1848. It's difficult to see with the plastic, but it's an 1848 large, and it's in good shape. It's in very good shape.
Yeah, you know what? I'm telling you what, I watch these prices, man, and these prices are going up on these coins. Sandra Marshak is here. Congratulations, Sandra. You and Skip are going to send Frank your addresses, and in about 6
Sandra
years,
Marshak one. Okay.
yeah, about 6 years, you'll get your coin.
No, not anymore.
Yeah.
We
no.
got Celeste on board. She's going to tighten you right up.
All right,
No,
one
no, and-
more.
Yeah, do we have one more? Good.
We got a 1930. Looks like a
1930 something.
1930 SLQ.
There you go.
Oh, geez, I know this guy's here too. Matt Kwiatkowski.
Matt, and he tuned in late. He shouldn't be allowed to win.
Oh, he shouldn't be on the list.
Yeah,
All right,
he's
so,
good. He's good.
actually,
He's good.
Actually, you know who you mail
We're
that
sending
to,
it
right?
to Joni anyway, so
Yeah, that's right. Yeah,
he's here.
yeah, we know he's here. Sam Leader, I got to get in touch with him. I gotta send him a message.
Yeah, Matt's here.
No, Joni's here. Joni, send your information to Frank. He's a guy. I like talking to Matt. He's a good guy.
That's good. They're good people.
Yeah, I would. You know what? I wish they lived in Jersey. They'd be fun. They're fun.
I'm getting
They're fun people.
I'm getting 2 new tumblers from Matt. Well, from Joni.
Oh yeah, oh, good. From Joni.
Yeah, because I kind of left mine home.
What else did you leave home?
Why
No.
didn't you tell me?
Stickers.
So I'm getting a new Aqua. Yeah, I know. Oh no, I ordered those stickers
Yeah.
and then they got found. Not the ugly box ones, but the other ones.
Oh, okay.
And the ugly box ones have finally arrived. But I ordered a new Detect America tumbler and an Aquatech tumbler.
Aquatech tumbler.
Good.
Oh, I'm thinking a rock tumbler. You
No,
drink
the-
tumbler.
Glass.
All right.
Yeah, no, the Detect America mugs we get. I use mine every day. I actually been starting to.
I ripped all my boxes apart looking for them. I thought I brought
I
them.
take coffee with me in the morning.
There's a mystery box that I was pretty sure was in my trailer, but it can't be found.
Dude, you're the mystery. That's for sure.
And so because of that box being missing, I've had to buy a new Dremel tool because I can't find the charger. But a bunch of cool little stuff I can't find. Couldn't find the Ugly Box stickers.
So let me ask you a question. We've got the Queen Anne's War, and now you got what the Queen Anne's Revenge, right? What was
Queen Anne's Revenge was a ship.
the ship, right? So those at that time of the pirates, is that when Blackbeard was roaming around, or
Probably that
Isn't that the ship he ditched? Queen Anne's Revenge.
well, that's the one that sank off South
that's the one
Carolina.
he sank to block the harbor or something.
I don't know, but I'll tell you what. I mean, I find it interesting to realize that there were pirates up and down. I mean, there were pirates
over the
up
place,
and down.
Listen, on that Molucca River that he's talking about, we were detecting along it, and we were reading story. And I don't remember the pirate's name. I don't remember the pirate's name, but England had sent somebody to kill this particular pirate, and the story that we read was that this pirate stabbed him, killed him, and put him in a place that with his treasure, basically. And we were detecting this one particular area, and in the middle of nowhere were these two gigantic headstones. So I don't dig headstones, but I was digging around the outside, and I literally dug down probably 1.5 feet, and I pulled this little thing. It's the wrist protector, the guard on a dagger. And I sent the picture to the guy I know at Oxford University. He said, "Yeah, because it's silver plated over copper. It goes, and it dates to about the late 1600s."
I think I heard about that. It was the famous butt pirate Frank Beard,
Frank Beard.
No, there were. If Joe's going down the Molucca River, there's a reason, brother.
who was known to troll the public restrooms in all the places that were crossing the seas.
I got not a pummel. What the hell is it called? The little guard thing at the base of the blade.
Huh.
And it's right next to a. I figure if you're going to kill him, off him, and bury your treasure, and you want to remember where it is, when you're going down the river and you see these two big headstones overlooking the river, what a perfect place for a treasure.
But that we know that like, that river had to have been traveled back in that day, and
Well, yeah, there was pirate or pirates
yeah.
ships that were known to go up and down that river.
And you know where else? You know where Beasley's Point is?
Yeah,
They were back in there too.
sure they were.
That you could tell when you got
Well,
channels
wait, didn't we know somebody along the Delaware that found a whole handful of Maravitas? Didn't they bring them to the show?
Oh my God! Stop. There you go. You know you're full of jokes tonight, dude. You're just like you're on a roll.
Hurricane's coming, baby. Time for
You're on a roll. All right, Ronnie. We did this show for an hour and a half. What is wrong with us?
I don't know, but it was a good show. I'll give you that much.
Yeah.
All right, so we're gonna call it a night, guys.
Yeah,
Yeah.
winners, send me your information, and I will have these coins out immediately.
All right, big guy. We'll talk to you soon. Good night.
Good night, everybody.
So next week,
Andy
Andy
Savage.
Savage.
Andy Savage.
And Andy is always a good interview.
He is, brother.
He's a great guy. The guy knows his stuff. So
And a lot of people have been waiting for this book.
right. And I am going to reach. We'll get our tentacles out into Spanish Main and try and get them in 2 weeks.
Yep, and don't forget, I got. Yeah, well, let's talk about that because I have somebody who may want to come on right after Andy.
Okay. Well, then we're going to work on Spanish Main in the
Yeah,
future.
I just got to confirm with her if it's going to happen
Yeah,
the following week.
Daryl Miklos is just like awesome.
Get
Oh,
that
so
and
tell
our
us-
buddy Mark Anthony.
Tell us about your trip to Dima.
Dima was awesome, dude. I got to hang out with the crew from Notka, White and D-Lag, and I met up with Captain Fizz and
Exactly.
Jared
Wait.
Burball.
Back up.
Go ahead.
You got to meet our awesome friend D-Lag.
I did. I hung out half the day with D-Lag and Dwight and that crew and those guys, and I got to walk around and see some new tech for diving and stuff. It was a pretty awesome show. It's a business show. It's a show for business organizations.
Right.
So it wasn't a lot of generic people running around, but you couldn't like buy a bunch of swag and junk like that. But it was really cool. I had a massive allergy attack and had to leave.
You'll be diving when?
Huh?
You'll be scuba diving when?
I'm rolling around getting my research and trying it, but I haven't made that decision yet because I'm scared. It's been a long time since I've had tanks on my back, man.
Yeah, I know. I wish I could do it. You know what I mean?
I'm thinking, man, maybe I'll get a hookah. I don't know yet.
To do what? You gonna go out in the alligator pond right over there? Oh Jesus, I almost fell over.
I'm gonna go make friends with the alligators.
That's hilarious. So, all right, guys. You know, we still got things in the works, and it's good. And a lot of this came out of that hunt in Florida we went to, which is good. So,
awesome stuff, man.
You know, when we go out, we try and make these contacts, and that's that. You know.
Absolutely.
I can tell you this. I'm turning this stuff off and I'm getting in bed right behind me. I'm tired.
Oh, just quick message. We're talking about DLEC and Notka. If you guys are interested in buying a legend, a Notka for the holidays, go to the Notka page. Go to our dealer because they are running a special for the holidays. It's a killer.
And who would our dealer be?
Our dealer would be, what's his name again? He never talks. I can't. Oh yeah, Ronnie DeGhetto, the Gold Digger.
The golddigger.com. And I also listen. We can't forget that Mind Lab is also running a sale on the Noxes.
Mind Lab has a sale on the Nox, and we're all waiting with bated breath for the DA core coming out soon.
Anyway,
now there was a post that said, a blind post from Mind Lab that said, "Get ready, the Manicore is coming soon. The Beast is coming soon." But then I checked with Ronnie. He said, "I didn't hear anything about it, so we don't know when it's coming out yet."
You know what? It's obviously it's not the biggest thing if they don't get it out by Christmas.
Don went. If you're talking about the legend, it's about $150 off the price.
So, like I was saying, you know, it's probably not their biggest priority to get it out by Christmas, but you're going to want to get it to people before spring.
I mean, it should be the priority because just from a business standpoint, it would be awesome to have it out there for Black Friday. But the rumors that we heard was probably beginning of the year. So,
but in all reality, seriously, who buys a $1,500 metal detector for a Christmas present? You know what I'm saying?
When I'm buying them for myself, yes, I would do that. Yes, I would.
Always thinking about Frank.
Gotta have it.
Always thinking about Frank.
I need the new DA.
Is my hat in that damn box, by the way?
Yes.
Always.
Actually, I'm reboxing it. I told you I had your stuff ready to go. Well, here was the box. I was going to ship you this box until I found a box for your shovel, but now it's all going in the shovel box.
I was going to say, how's my shovel going to fit in that box?
No, I was going to have to ship it separate. I was going to probably have to wrap it, but then the people over at the UPS store had a lovely
I'm telling you, this NXB65-93.
Is it the 5 or the 6 you got?
I think I don't know. What's the difference? But you said the blades are different or something. I don't know. But either way, even though it was designed by two of the worst metal detectorists in the world, KG and Ringy, it's you know what? And people are like, oh my God, this is heavy. I like that weight in the shovel.
The first time I really had a chance to hold one was down there when we our little trip. It's a very nicely designed.
It's solid. You want solid. It's sturdy, but I like that weight because a lot of times you're on your knee. Well, not like when you're on your knee, but when like I'm digging on my knee, you can take that shovel and get since it's heavy, you can really get it into the ground. So
Susan Toker, did the Manicore look good compared to the CTX? The Manicore is not replacing the CTX. The Manicore looks good, but from the mouth of Mind Lab, it is not replacing the CTX.
Don Went wants to know how I keep my head so shiny. I shave it like every other day.
It's called Mother's Wax. What's that car wax we use?
Canuba?
Canuba. Sex wax for your surfboard. Makes you aerodynamic and windy.
That's the only place I'm using sex wax at. So good night. Whatever. I'm going to bed.
I need to go eat dinner.
Oh.
I'm going to make a burger.
It's nice that you do that.
Yeah, hey, it's Florida. We have our own timeline here. Nothing matters.
Congratulations.
In Florida, it's noon.
Congratulations to our winners again tonight. Skip Proho Chuck, Sandra Marshak, and Joni
Kwiatkowski.
Congratulations. All right, guys. Good night. I'll talk to you.
All right, guys. We'll see you next time.
All right. Yeah, I'm off tomorrow, by the way.